Today we're going to be installing a front and rear facing camera from Blackvue in this second gen Toyota Tacoma.
Hey guys, I just want to thank Blackvue Cameras for sending me my dash cams. I had some incidents where someone came and recently clipped the cords to my light bar, as well as tried to steal things off the bed of the truck, which is super unfortunate. But now that I have the dash cam, it not only shows the car, you know, when we're going and everything that could happen with crashes and whatnot, but it also shows when it's parked, sensors and everything, and if it senses someone trying to steal something off the car or walking past it too close, it'll turn right on and send it right to my iPhone, which is super cool.
So we inked off the glove box, and there's not a lot of room behind there, especially with the cabin air filter in that area. So what we're actually going to do is we're just going to put it in the glove box itself. The first thing you want to do right here is there's this switch right here, and you have cigarette, off, and hardwire. Before you hook anything up, you want to make sure that this is off. So we're going to be placing this inside of the glove box for the storage, and then what we did is we actually ran the wire right there underneath the center console area, and then we're going to run it up on the other side, and then we're going to use that on that side, and we're going to run it up over the back, over back here, and then we're going to plug it in. Here we have the box just lying in there with the hardwire connected up. The power line comes right in here into the DC plug. All right, so the next step is we're gonna now hook the other end of this wire up into the fuse panel. The fuse panel is behind this little coin holder tray thing. You can just slide those off and it comes apart. And what we're looking for is the accessory plug, but it needs to be more than 10 amps. So we're looking for like the cigarette lighter or something along the lines for the stereo. Power outlet 15 amp right there. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna pull that fuse, and then they gave us an adapter to put a new one in there and then add the fuse in line. So the kit comes with these 3 fuse adapters. They go from really small to like really large size fuses. I ripped off just a little step panel here, and then took out the floor mat and then this little corner piece, all because I wanted to find a really good bolt to put the ground to, and I did, and it's right here. I'm going to use that bolt right there because it goes right to the body, nothing in between it. You can choose another bolt, you don't have to choose that one, but that's the one I'm going to use. And then we're going to use the medium size plug here, which it comes with the butt connector, so we're going to connect that up to the accessory wire, and then we're going to put that up here into the fuse box. Right here we have the new adapter plug with the new fuse in line that just pushes into the old slot and then has that fuse right there. The red line is the hot line going down, and then I added in right here the new ground wire that blasts off in the back. I did zip tie it up in a few places, but we do have a lot of excess wire laying down here. We're probably just going to fold that up and shove it back there and store it in that area because it seems like there's a little space for it. And it's always good to have just a little bit of extra wire. So now that we're done on this side, we're going to put everything back together, and we're going to move over to the other side and start setting up the camera. All right, so now we're going to be setting up the camera, and to do that we're trying to figure out where we're going to run. We figured that we're going to run the cable out of the glove box and then up the side of the trim here. I'm going to remove this A-pillar trim piece to see if we can hide it underneath there and then pop out under here and then run it across the top. So to pull off this trim piece, you need to be very careful because there's actually an airbag underneath this. But you're just going to pop these 2 caps off, and then there's 2 10mm bolts underneath there. The best way I found to do it is kind of just use your nail and pry it back, and then use a trim tool and you can pop those off. And then 2 10mm bolts under here. There's also Phillips heads on these, which is nice. One of the first things we did was disconnect the battery, so hopefully that'll prevent us from having an airbag smack us in the face. And then this one just comes off, and then this is all loose, and you can just pry this off as well. So the next part that we're putting on here is the dash cam plug. This is the 4-pin connector, and then it has like a cigarette lighter on the other side. And so we're just gonna snap that in right there. And then the cigarette lighter plug actually has the actual male side, and you push that together. And now this is the cable for the dash cam. I'm actually going to electrical tape this shut so it doesn't wiggle loose. Alright, there we go. So that's gonna live in there. Now for the dash cam, we're gonna run this out the back and then up the side of the interior where the weather stripping is. And now that we have this apart, there's plenty of room. We're just gonna run it up here, maybe zip tie it here and here, and then put it underneath the headliner, and we're gonna run that across the top to behind the mirror. We got the cable ran up into this A-pillar spot. It wasn't that difficult at all. Now we're just gonna I'll go around that cable to hold it on the outside up along here. And I'm just gonna kind of gauge how much cable we're gonna need, because there's a lot of excess cable and I'd rather store it inside the glove box than somewhere else. Alright, so we got the dash cam in place. I cleaned the window with some alcohol to make sure that it was clean and nice and sticky. And now what we're doing is we're just pushing the wire up underneath the roof liner, and a good trim tool helps out with this. Looks like we're already coming out right there. We can just push it up, and we're gonna work our way now all the way across to here, and then work our way down. Alright, so we got the cable wrapped all the way up along the top, and I just put some zip ties in here, so we're gonna zip tie these down to just make sure that's out of the way of that airbag if it ever does happen to need to come off. And then it's all down, and then we just have all the excess wire here at the bottom down in the glove box. We'll clean that up a little later. We also already put the micro SD card in to the dash cam. If you ever need to do that, you can just unplug the power and then pop off the back, and then you can pull it in and out if you need to check any footage. Now we're gonna set up the rear dash cam, and all that cable control comes from the main dash cam. Alright, so we just threw in the back facing camera right here. Now this one we decided to put in the cab so we can see if anything happens inside the cab, and it's gonna be able to look all the way out the back. The power cable for that runs all the way up to here. Because the cable is so long, it runs all the way to the far side and then back, and it plugs into the main head unit. And so really, if there was a short cable, if we had a short cable, that would have been more ideal. Alright, there we go. So the rear camera is in. We just got the wire coming up there. And then we have the front facing camera is right there, facing forward. Everything is back together. We have all of the panels on this side completely back together. You can kind of see the camera right there in the front, but it's not very visible, which is actually a really nice thing. You can't even see the back facing one. It's totally inconspicuous and hidden, so if somebody does happen to break in, there's no way they would know it was there. Huge shout out to Blackvue for sending out this camera system. It's a really cool system. It's 4K, it has Wi-Fi and Bluetooth set up in it, and it will actually link to your phone, so that if there's ever any motion happening around your car, it'll send an alert to your phone so you can check out what's happening. Sort of along the lines of Ring, or those things that are on the house. So appreciate you watching. If you have any questions, put them down in the description below. Thank you for TRD Buildup for bringing this awesome rig in. If you want to see a rig walk around on this rig, I'll put a link right here. Otherwise, check on that or click on that subscribe button. And don't forget, keep crawling.